Now we'd like to introduce Steve Sola, the Assistant Vice President of Marketing and Student Recruitment at Southern New Hampshire University, and one very smart admissions marketer. Steve?
Thank you very much, Larry. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Everything that Dave, Valerie, and Larry just said, ditto, with Steve Peck. Actually, a lot of what I did have to say is covered already, so I am going to just touch on this, the allied piece itself. We call it the allied piece, our yield piece. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. You have to come up with, within your team, and from what we've done, your own creativity. So the piece itself, if you were just thinking that you could, you know, get Allied to come up with this really fancy looking piece. Did I just hit something? And just drop it in an envelope and send it off, and that's going to magically increase all your information and your yield. It's not going to happen. Your team needs to come up with different variable pieces along with the presentation, along with the piece that's going to help. So I wrote down a couple of things that I want to share with you that we did to supplement piece. As soon as let's go. There we go. I think I hit something in here. Well, anyway, first of all, the most important thing that we did when we partnered with Allied 3 years ago, but the most important thing that we did in this past year, which you'll see from our numbers how they increased, the smartest thing that I could have done in some of my time at SNHU was hire Maureen Kenny and then assign her the opportunity to manage this Pearl piece. I don't know if any of you happen to know Maureen. She's one of the admission reps at SNHU, and along with Shane Cochran, who in his own right is quite an admission stud, so congratulations, Shane, good job. But no, when we hired Maureen, one of the things that I came to her early on in the process and I said, Maureen, listen, we have this piece. She was familiar with it from earlier on, but I said to her, we really want to take this to the next level. Do you want to oversee it? Do you want to manage this process, every single detail? And she did, and eventually we will get to some stats.
This is the dynamic process that we like.
Yes, technology at its finest.
I talk about Terry's technology.
If you were to engage with Allied and end up doing a piece similar to this, if you're not already, one of the things that I would strongly recommend is find someone on your staff that's comfortable with this, that is willing to manage this process. That would be really, really important. Another thing that we did along the way for Pearl, people that did the personalized URL, in order you have to do something to incent them. They're not just going to out of some intrinsic value or excitement in the process. They're not just going to sign up and answer all kinds of questions and give you information and take time out of their busy 17, 18-year-old schedules to do this type of thing. So every 2 weeks, one of the ideas that Maureen came up with was we did a sweatshirt giveaway. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks, Dave. We did and you can see it's listed up here. We did a hoodie giveaway every 2 weeks. And some of the nice things that came off of that, Maureen would randomly pick from Pearl participants a name, and then what we would do is Maureen and I would meet usually on a Friday afternoon and pick up the phone, and I would personally call them with Maureen right there, and congratulations and the verbal confetti and all that other stuff. And we had more students that would just, we had students scream over the phone. It's like, oh my God, there was, a sweatshirt, a hoodie. You'd think I'd given them the whole diamond, and it was phenomenal. So it generated a lot of excitement. We did that every 2 weeks, and sometimes the students weren't home. I talked to mom or dad. They loved it just as much. And coincidentally, we have, of the 9 sweatshirts we give, or 8? 8 we gave away this year. No surprise, all 8 have deposited. Last year we did the same 8 and 7 deposited. So you're developing that connection right off the bat, and I think it makes a really big difference. The other thing is, and I know that my admission team probably hates me for this, but down deep I know that there's some love there, right, Shane? A little bit? Every piece that we send out on a weekly basis goes out with a personalized handwritten note from each rep because my reps, they all manage by geographic segment. So when they know who their accepted students are, and every single piece. Now, to give you an idea, we had a record year this year with applications. We accepted we had 3,500 acceptances out of our app pool this year. Every single one of them get both a handwritten note from either Maureen or Shane or Sam or Kibar or whoever is responsible for sending it out, and every one on of our accepted students gets a follow-up we call it an accept phone call. So there's a lot of individual rep contact along the way. But the big thing is, my reps know their accepts well enough that when they send out this piece and they paperclip on a little piece of stationery that says, from the desk of Maureen Kenny, from the desk of Shane Cochran, and they write a little note, they put something in there that may be trigger. Hey, I hope the football season went really well this year. Hey, I hope you ended up pulling that A in algebra that you were hoping for, because maybe Maureen interviewed that kid. Maybe Shane saw this kid in an open house and was able to remember it. There's a lot of personalization that goes along with it. So let me see if I can. So this is the piece. This is the Pearl. You can see from just the way it lays out, highly personalized. And here's just some basic data. And then next is we increased our Pearl hits this year from last year. Now keep in mind, we're in our third year. The first year we weren't doing the Pearl program. I don't even know if it had existed at that point. It's been it was actually introduced to me by Steve Condon 2 years ago, so this is our second year. The first year we had 670 students, and this past year we had 884. So we were really, really impressed. Now, again, we had a bigger app pool, so part of that has to do with our bigger app pool, but I gotta tell you, the best thing that we could have done is put Maureen in charge of it, because she was relentless with the Pearl program. And we never let an open house go by or an opportunity to promote it. If I was giving a welcome address at an open house for accepted type students, I would mention this. I would mention, I have a brochure, you probably got this, in the mail. You should do this, and so this is the kind of results that came from that. And so, as you can see, we had 396 of our students this year deposit versus 252 from last year, which Larry mentioned earlier. I was impressed and surprised that this yield rate this year, based on the number, is 44.6%. So really, really happy with the number of students that did the Pearl versus the number of students that became deposits. And this is what I just said. And then there's the yield itself. There are some other creative ideas that I was going to write down and share with you, but you know what? I like you all, and I respect you all, but at the end of the day, this is still business, so I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to come up with them on your own. So, again, this is, and that's Southern New Hampshire University, so if you end up going with the Pearl program and this, the yield piece, best of luck with it, and if you need any advice along the way, don't call us, right, Shane? I'm just kidding.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.